Good morning. We're all focused on making our massive investments in AI and machine learning pay off, and we often think the answer lies in fancier algorithms or more powerful servers. But what if the biggest lever we can pull is something far more fundamental? Today, I want to talk about the one asset that powers everything we do, our data.
This quote really gets to the heart of the matter. In an era where our competitive edge is defined by automated decisions and instant insights, the quality of our data, it's everything. This is no longer some IT cleanup task. It's a core strategic imperative for the entire business.
So here's how we'll break this down. First, we'll look at the risk to our current AI investments. Then, we'll get real about what doing nothing is actually costing us. From there, we'll talk about the strategic solution, get into some of the specific methods, and wrap up with a clear, actionable path forward.
All right, let's dive right into the AI investment risk. We've committed millions of dollars to these incredibly promising initiatives. The problem is, they're all being built on a foundation that has a significant and frankly hidden vulnerability. As a company, we are absolutely right to be allocating these resources to AI and machine learning. The goal is clear. We want to fuel growth. We want to get that competitive edge through smarter analytics and automation. No one's debating that.
But this brings us to a really critical question. One I'm sure we've all asked. Why do so many of these incredibly expensive, high-value projects seem to stall out, or just fail to deliver the game-changing results we were expecting? Well, the answer, more often than not, is hiding in plain sight.
The root cause is what we call dirty data. And what's so frustrating is how simple the causes are, yet how destructive their impact is. We're talking about things like duplicate customer records that completely throw off our metrics, outdated contact information that sends our sales team on a wild goose chase, or something as simple as inconsistent formats. One system says NY, another says New York, which causes our automated pipelines to crash and forces our engineers to spend hours, sometimes days, manually debugging.
And that brings me to the high cost of inaction. Because these aren't just little technical annoyances. They have a real, compounding financial and operational impact that we feel every single day across the business.
We really see this cost in three key areas. First, there's a massive drain on operational efficiency. Our teams are wasting countless hours manually fixing reports that should just run. Second, the rework costs are staggering. When a model is built on bad data, it gives us bad insights, forcing our data science team to go back to square one. That's an incredibly expensive do-over. And finally, and this is a big one, there's significant regulatory risk. For us, poor data quality isn't just sloppy, it could mean failing a critical audit.
So the choice is pretty stark. On the left, that's where we are too often, fighting flawed insights, dealing with failed models, and absorbing high costs, all while carrying this unnecessary compliance risk. On the right, that's where we need to be, operating with reliable insights, building robust models, achieving high efficiency, and being ready for an audit at a moment's notice.
This is what brings us to the strategic solution. We have to stop thinking of this as a cleanup project. We need to start treating data hygiene as what it really is, a core business enabler that unlocks the value of all our other investments.
So, what is data cleansing, really? Well, it's the formal process for getting this done. It's about systematically finding and fixing all those errors and inconsistencies we just talked about. But look, the end goal isn't just clean data. The goal is to build a foundation of reliability and trust for every single decision this company makes.
And let's be crystal clear about this. This is not a one-and-done project. This is a fundamental shift in how we operate. It's about building a continuous, ongoing process that turns our data from a potential liability into a trusted, high-value asset for everyone in the organization.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? Let's walk through 4 key cleansing methodologies. These are proven, powerful techniques we can use to start systematically improving our data right now.
First up is something called fuzzy matching. The business outcome here is huge. It's how we finally create a single, trustworthy view of our customer. It uses smart algorithms to figure out that John Smith at 123 Main Street is the same person as Jay Smith at 123 Main Street, even though the records aren't a perfect match. For sales, marketing, and customer service, this is an absolute game changer.
Next up, statistical imputation. Our machine learning models often just stop or fail when they hit a blank field in the data. Now, instead of throwing out an entire valuable customer record just because one piece of information is missing, imputation uses statistical methods to intelligently fill that gap. This prevents our models from failing and, just as importantly, keeps our analysis from getting skewed.
Third is standardization. This is all about enforcing consistency, just pure and simple. We convert all dates to the exact same format, all state codes become the same 2 letters, all units of measure get converted to metric. The business outcome? A massive reduction in those pipeline failures and manual rework, which leads directly to more accurate, timely reporting.
And finally, there's automated outlier detection. This uses statistics or even machine learning itself to proactively find data points that are just wrong. Think of a typo that puts a decimal point in the wrong place and inflates a sale by 1,000 times. This acts like an immune system for our data, protecting our models from being corrupted by bad information before it can do any damage.
Okay, so that's the what and the how. Now, what's our path forward? Let's lay out a clear, manageable plan to start building this foundation of trust.
Our action plan has 4 steps, and the key here is that we're not trying to boil the ocean. First, we identify and profile our most critical data assets to truly understand the scope of the problem. Second, we start automating fixes for the most common issues we find. Third, we make the problem visible with quality dashboards. And fourth, we start the work of building a culture where everyone feels responsible for data hygiene.
And I want to be specific about where we start. We begin with step 1, profiling our most critical data. Let's say our core customer data. We'll create a simple data quality dashboard that makes the problems visible to everyone and allows us to track our progress as we fix them. This is a low-risk, high-impact first move that will immediately prove the value of this entire approach.
Ultimately, for this to work, it has to be a cultural shift. This can't be seen as a data team problem or an IT problem. Data quality has to become a shared responsibility, a core value that's embraced by our engineering, analytics, and business teams alike.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. We have a multi-million-dollar investment in AI that is fundamentally at risk because it's being built on a shaky data foundation. The question for all of us is simple. Are we ready to do the necessary work to build it on a foundation of trust?